If I told you that a live-action Disney remake in 2025 was going to be significantly worse than the original, I'm sure you all would have been shocked beyond belief. However, I regret to inform you that the Lilo and Stitch live-action remake is indeed bad. Yeah, it's bad. Okay, all jokes aside, this movie was a huge drop-off from the original Lilo and Stitch, which is one of the most beloved films in Disney's catalog, and so naturally, when such an iconic and loved film is not done justice or is poorly adapted, it manages to tick everyone off who cherished the original. I mean, we learned this lesson with Snow White already. Right, Disney?
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I think what is most insulting about this movie is the fact that it wasn't even meant to be a theatrical release, but was instead supposed to debut on Disney+, but then the decision was made last minute to give it a theatrical release in order to make more money, and darn it, this movie is going to do just that, which most likely means that we are going to get plenty more of these straight-to-streaming platform quality remakes and sequels in theaters, because that is exactly what this movie is, a slightly higher budget Disney Channel original. That's what it felt like. There were numerous times throughout the film where I said to myself, this literally feels like a movie I would see air for the first time on Disney Channel, except it has like a slightly higher budget. And that just sucks to see. That all the respect a beloved iconic franchise gets is a made-for-streaming service film that gets embarrassingly shoved into theaters where it doesn't hold up at all just for the sake of making more money. But okay, enough about all that. Today, I just wanted to talk about the various problems with this movie and why it doesn't hold up to the original film at all. The first thing I'm going to address is the insane amount of changes they made in this remake, and almost none of them are to the benefit of the story. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that if Disney is going to remake their animated classics into live-action movies, then there should be changes to the story so that it's not just a lazy rehash of the original, like Lion King 2018. However, I also think that those changes, first of all, should be good, and second of all, should be made with respect towards the source material. Let's take a look at some of the poor changes in the Lilo and Stitch live-action remake. First, adding this random neighbor lady who acts like a parental figure for Nanny and Lilo, and is also kind of just there so that they can have Nanny, spoiler alert by the way, leave Lilo with this neighbor lady and go live her own life at university, and leave behind the responsibilities of caring for her sister. Yeah, Ohana means no one gets left behind, except for when I have to go to college and I totally leave my little sister behind in the care of this random neighbor lady so that I can go pursue my own wants and dreams. And look, I get that Nanny was not suited to be the best caretaker of Lilo, but in the original movie, she got help from Bubbles and David to care for Lilo, and she didn't just run off and leave Lilo in the care of other people. The theme was that even though the family was small and broken, they were still good. They stuck together no matter what, no matter the difficulties they ran into, and they faced those challenges together. I just think that the way Nanny leaves Lilo behind to go to college at the end of the movie totally uproots and takes a dump on the whole theme of Ohana, and don't give me that excuse of, oh, she still FaceTimed Lilo and used the portal gun to visit her. That's not the same as making the sacrifice of your wants and desires to help raise your younger sibling. Another really lame change was making Jumba the main antagonist at the end. He is just not really meant to be the primary villain, and forcing him into that role in this film definitely goes against the established character in the original movie. And I mean, come on. Was I really supposed to feel threatened by this chubby dude rocking this generic voice?
Perfect. And then, with 627 by my side, the councilwoman won't be able to stop me.
Your voice sounds funny!
Bro sounds like he's about to help me file my tax returns, not like he's supposed to be some kind of menacing threat. And removing Captain Gantu? Really? Like, I know it probably helped them save a lot of money by not having to include another CGI character, but by removing Gantu from the movie, it just made the film miss that menacing threat that could have kept the climax tense, and instead they just opted for forcing Jumba to play the role that he was never supposed to play or intended to play, and that just didn't work out. Also, this movie is 40 minutes longer than the original, and yet it carries nowhere near the same weight as the first Lilo and Stitch, which was a film that was extremely effective in strongly getting its messages and themes across in minimal time. It was a very tightly written film. Instead, this live-action remake is much more loose and lackadaisical with that extra screen time, and it doesn't use it to enhance the story, but more so uses it to just have silly shenanigans and draw out the runtime. Jamba and Blakey get way too much screen time devoted to them and their silly antics, and that only takes this movie away from the tight, well-written, intentionally driven narrative of the original. Even when it does get to its emotional scenes, due to the lackluster acting and the poor pacing, they don't even have nearly the same weight as those same scenes did in the original. And I know that acting as a child can be extremely difficult. It's not really realistic to expect most child actors to do a phenomenal job, but at the end of the day, there are still those few child actors who can actually deliver a really strong and compelling performance. And the fact is that, at least in this role, the actress for Lilo is just not one of those elite child actors. That's not her fault. Her acting was passable, it was fine considering her age, but I would be lying if I said that there weren't moments where her acting was noticeably distracting and took away from the scene overall. The CGI at the beginning looked fine, and I thought that Stitch's CGI was actually very well done and believable. But anytime any of the aliens, aside from Stitch, interacted with the real world environment, yeah, it didn't look too good, bro. Maybe good for like a Disney Channel movie, and again, that's exactly what this movie felt like. A toned down, lame, straight to Disney Channel or Disney Plus version of Lilo and Stitch that wasn't meant to be theatrically released. Overall, this movie felt like it was made by people who just didn't really understand the original. It feels like a cheap, hollow imitation. The iconic scenes and moments are there, the characters share the same names and personalities for the most part, but it misses what made the original Lilo and Stitch such a great movie. The heart behind the film is missing. One movie was made out of genuine passion and creativity, and the other was made to capitalize on fans and make money for a creatively bankrupt corporation. It's not too hard to see why the remake wouldn't stand up to the original one at all.
Okay, come on! Let's make money! Let's get ready! Make some money!
Like I touched on before, despite the film not being good, it no doubt is going to make a ton of money for Disney. Releasing it in theaters was definitely the right move financially, and I can't deny that. But I just hate the precedent that's going to set for these kinds of movies going forward. Just take a lower budget, lower quality project that was meant to go straight to streaming, touch it up a little, and then release it in theaters. Money! Dang. DreamWorks should have done that with Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, right? Can you imagine that being released in theaters and being promoted as Megamind 2? While obviously not to that same extent, that is exactly what this film was, and that's exactly what it felt like. And unfortunately, it seems that thanks to the success of this live-action remake and Moana 2, Disney is only going to keep shoving these undercooked, low-quality streaming originals out to theaters in order to make more money. Lilo and Stitch, you deserved much better than this. Anyways, if you liked this video, then I'd appreciate it if you left a like and subscribed. It definitely helps me out, and consider checking out some of my other videos through the playlist on my channel. I'll catch you all on the next one. Have a great day.